walk up the stairs, we walk in my son's room, and I gasped. And I said, that was not there. I said, I scrubbed this wall and made sure that it was completely clean. I said, Jonathan, this is for you. This is some act of an angel or the Lord wanting you to know that he is with you today. He was just stunned.
This is Touched by Heaven, everyday encounters with God. Those moments when heaven and earth collide and we see God. We certainly hear him. He's having conversations with us through these encounter stories with angels, divine intervention, prophetic dreams, visions, near-death experiences. Welcome. I'm your host, Trapper Jack. We often mention around here how God is speaking to you and me and the church and the world, but many of the conversations are just flying by our heads. Whoosh. Did you feel it? Did you feel it? Mussed your hair, just a touch. Okay, so what does that mean when you walk into a room and what is that on the wall? Jennifer has her story. We have stories from Traci and Russ and also from Natalie. And we also talk about this music bubbling up in my head and seemingly from nowhere, but we know where that nowhere is because when we spiritualize the lyrics, it means something. Well, recently at one of my talks here in town, a gentleman by the name of Chris was there, listened, made the connection with it all, got in the car, and then he heard a song that, whoosh, here comes the conversation.
Yeah, it was awesome. I really enjoyed it. It was everything I was hoping for, and then all this kind of crazy stuff started happening afterwards. So,
well, like what kind of crazy stuff?
Father Kevin gave the, he did the mass, and the gospel was about, the parable of the unforgiving servant, right? In Matthew 18, 21 through 35, which is about, forgiveness, and how the master forgave the servant of the huge debt, but then the servant doesn't go and repay the favor to his servant, which I've heard that parable many a times, but I never thought of why that servant never forgave his own servant. You know what I mean? Why he didn't pay it forward.
Mm-hmm.
And Father Kevin started talking about that, and he's like, well, it's because he didn't truly believe that he was forgiven. And then, of course, he relates it to our relationship with God. And Father Kevin just said, we can humanize God and kind of make him, mold him into our past experiences. And then I don't know if he said this or if I thought of it, but this phrase of thank God he isn't who we think he is, right?
Yeah. Okay, so what did that lead you to?
Yeah. And then, you're sharing how God speaks to you through music, and I'm leaving, and I hop in my car. I turn on the radio. I actually go to Spotify. So the song starts playing, and I don't know it. I've never heard it before. But then all of a sudden, I start picking up the words in the song. You can tell the tone of the song starts to change because she's starting to figure out who God is, and she's sharing how her life is starting to transform because she's knowing God better. And then, sure enough, the refrain hits, and it goes, "You were there in the darkness, you were there in my pain, you saw me in the valleys, and still loved me anyways. It's so nice to finally meet you. Why was I so afraid? I have so much left to learn, but thank God you're not who I thought you were."
There it is.
And I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, did that really just happen? I heard this in the homily. It stuck out to me. Then you talk about, getting signs from God, how God speaks to you through music. And then literally the next random song that I listened to in the car, the refrain is the exact same thing about the message in the homily. Just blew my mind. And it's by an artist called Olivia Lane. And the title's literally called Who I Thought You Were.
How about that?
Got home, shared it with my wife. I think I even sent it in a group chat to the guys I'm doing Exodus with, who actually I'm doing Exodus 90 with Father Kevin.
It's funny, when you were talking about the music, I kind of got a hit last night, too. I go to the Encounter School of Ministry. I might have mentioned that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But
yep.
It was interesting. Something happened last night that was kind of incredible. We were talking about what are called kingdom dreams, which means, we have this little podcast and thousands of people tune it in. We're just husband and wife team, just kind of doing something here and called to do it and do a little speaking here and there. And, we have our puny little dreams,
Right.
And God has bigger dreams.
Yep.
And what we're supposed to do is align our dreams together and actually ask him, well, what do you want?
Right.
I'm going, we've never, as much as we've talked about, okay, how do we try to grow the audience, or how do we get more opportunities to speak, or whatever it is, those normal conversations. But last night, we were called to ask God what he wants. What's the kingdom dream that we're supposed to align with?
Yep.
And a song started playing in my head. Okay. I always have to be careful with copyright, so I can't play a lot of it. So I might have to kind of edit around this thing a little bit. Yeah. But it was interesting. So I'm just going to ask Alexa, play Mick Jagger and David Bowie, Dancing in the Streets. Yep. And this particular version is Mick Jagger and David Bowie. Martha Reeves did a version of it. And this part here, sweet music. There'll be music everywhere. Then they start mentioning all the cities in Baltimore and D.C. now, and Motor City and all this. And it's mentioning all of this music, and everybody's listening to it all over the world and everything. And it's like, wait a minute, wait a minute. Somehow, the impression I'm getting is God is going to take this hearing music bubbling up in your head, and do something with it. Maybe to a lot. I keep saying there are people getting I'm calling these things divine earworms now, not just earworms, songs that you can't get out of your head. But if they come from God, and if he kind of like starts ramping it up for more and more people, communication across the nation. It's a great way to communicate directly with people, because when you spiritualize these lyrics, some of them are just incredible what they can do in the course of a day, to hear God kind of drop in and say, take a look at this, listen to this, you know? And this song is about hearing music all over the world. Yeah. I started getting chills. I played, I said, here's what I'm getting. I'm telling the classmates, here's what I'm getting. I said, I don't even know what this is, but this is the answer I'm getting. So whatever that means, more than anything else, I keep telling people, I say, when those songs keep playing in your head, just look at them, spiritualize it. Who could be singing to whom? It's usually Jesus or the Father or Holy Spirit singing to, us, or Mary singing to us, or, whatever. It's church is singing to or being sung to, that kind of thing. It's usually relatively simple to find out who's singing to whom, usually. Not always. Not always. Whatever that is, you're the first one to hear that. Whatever that is.
Okay. Nice. Okay.
Gonna do something with it.
Right.
Thanks, Chris. The music. Is it playing in your heads? Is it still playing in my head? Or do I get voices? Is somebody in my head?
Hi. Is this working?
Hey.
Hi.
We have Jennifer. All right, Jennifer has the story of the thing on the wall when heaven leaves messages.
Just this morning. So just a small background. I'm a hospice worker. I'm a nursing assistant. I never get a day off. We just can't do it, and I've had a plaster worker coming into my home for a week now, and my husband's like been in and out with him, and it just turned out that this morning that, my boss was like, "Hey, take the day off. I know you got a worker in your house and, and you've had a long weekend." So I took the morning off, and I got to see Jonathan, who was my worker that was coming in the house. But before he came, we had to empty my son's room, just completely empty it, because there's cracks in the ceiling and in the walls. And so we literally emptied the whole room last night, put everything away in storage, just moved the furniture to the side. And this morning I thought, I'm going to go wash those walls with my, Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, get any little nicks off. And I'm going to vacuum. Did that, came downstairs, and did not go upstairs after that. While I was downstairs, my plaster worker texted me that he would be late. And I thought, okay, no problem. So within the 30 minutes that he was supposed to come, I I get a text from work that, a notification that one of my patients passed away, which I didn't expect because she was pretty well. But that happens all the time in my job. So I had made a Lenten promise to the Lord that I would pray my rosary not just every day, but whenever a patient passes at the time of death, no matter where I was, I would pray my rosary for that patient. So I took out my rosary and thought, okay, I'm going to pray the Divine Chaplet, started praying the Divine Chaplet. And in the middle of the rosary, my plaster worker knocks at the door. So I put my rosary down. He comes in and he says, "Oh, Jennifer, I'm so sorry I'm late." And I said, "That's okay. It's fine that you're here now." And he said, "My dad just died last night." And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I said, "Are you sure you want to work today?" And he said, I have to get this job done." And I said, "Well, look, I'm a hospice worker. I'm praying the Divine Chaplet of Mercy for a patient that just passed. And that rosary is very special. It asks for divine mercy for anyone who's, leaving the earth with unresolved attachments here. And can I pray for your dad?" He said, "Absolutely." And he gave me his dad's name. And then I said, "Well, why don't we go upstairs and I'll show you the room, and I hope all the furniture is in the right spot so you can do your work." We walk up the stairs, we walk in my son's room, and I gasped. Right in the center of the wall that I really cleaned for him to work on, where the cracks are, was a prayer card taped to the wall. And it said, "I am the good shepherd." And on the back was the prayer of the Divine Mercy. And it had a picture of Jesus on the back with the blood and water. And I said, "That was not there." I said, "I scrubbed this wall and made sure that it was completely clean." I said, "Jonathan, this is for you. This is some act of an angel or the Lord wanting you to know that He is with you today." And I took the prayer card off the wall and gave it to him, and he was just stunned. I said, I'm not making this up." He's like, "I believe you." And then he said, "I am a Christian, but my dad, when he passed, I wasn't sure if he was." And I said, "Well, that's what these prayers are for." And I said, "So this prayer card's meant for you." And we had a wonderful day. He went and did his work. I made him lunch. And when he was leaving, he said to me, "My regular job, I'm a social worker and I work with hospice teams." So, I mean, we had that connection too. Um, and he said, "My dad was on hospice." I said, "Oh, I'm so glad." But that's my praise report. The Lord just works in mysterious ways. He blessed me with the Lenten journey with my rosary, and then he spoke through my home, and this man who came today. I cannot believe that prayer card was taped. There was no clutter anywhere in that room. I have prayer cards, but they're like locked in a box in my bedroom. It was just amazing. Glory be to God for that.
Wow. That's just a whole lot of wow.
Yeah,
Taped to the wall.
taped to the wall, and it wasn't a prayer card that I had seen before.
Yeah, it wasn't yours.
Yeah, but it was like the same tape and the little putty that I had scraped off the walls. It was like it was just smashed against like one of those, but I had thought I got all of it off the wall and there was nothing on the walls. Like all the pictures, everything. I was even trying to scrape the putty with my fingernail last night off the wall. Like, oh, I wish this stuff wasn't on my wall. There was nothing on that wall. Like I knew as soon as I saw it, like, what is that? That was left here by something else. There was no doubt in my mind. Usually when things happen, we have that little bit of doubt, like, well, maybe someone put that there. I knew. I said, "Jonathan, this was not here. This is for you." And this was the exact rosary I was praying downstairs, which isn't the normal rosary that I pray in the morning.
Yeah, explain that rosary. It is a rosary?
It's the Divine Chaplet of Mercy, which is we pray at the hour of death,
Mhm.
and we pray when we're praying for souls. That specific rosary is what I had to pray because I had just found out before the plaster worker arrived that I had lost a patient.
And as you know, we are coming up on Divine Mercy Sunday, following Easter Sunday. So, by the way, that's when we're posting this. So that's when people will hear this is on Divine Mercy Sunday.
Oh,
No accident, right? No accident.
no, and his divine mercy is for everyone.
Amen.
You know,
And I need to read St. Faustina's book again because he just pours it out. He gives us every opportunity right now.
yes.
Everything. And on Divine Mercy Sunday, again, I know in the Catholic world, and I know he extends this to everybody, this whole concept. And are you familiar with Father Chris Alar?
Yes.
He is.
Yes.
Is he the only one preaching everything we can have on Divine Mercy Sunday? I swear.
He's amazing.
He is totally amazing. Alar, Chris Alar.
Yes.
Look him up. Listen to what the man says, because on this day, literally a get out of jail free card. It removes purgatory. It removes hell, obviously, but it gives your soul a factory reset to the day you were baptized.
Yes.
And people don't know. I don't understand why they're not shouting this from the mountaintops.
No, and this man, his dad just died the night before. That's why he was late to my house. And then he didn't know about the Divine Mercy Chaplet of Prayers, and that was the prayer card on the wall. And the front of the prayer card was a picture of Jesus that said, "I'm the good shepherd," and he was holding a lamb. And I've never seen that particular prayer card, so I was like, "Where did this come from?" This is a divine act for this man to hear about the very mercy of God.
I think Jesus likes you. I know he likes the gentleman, the worker, but I think he kind of likes you too.
Oh, well, thank you.
You do his work. I mean, the hospice work that you're doing. I mean, we can hear your heart. We hear your heart.
It's a blessing to take care of people on that part of their journey. It really is. I've seen so many moments of such peace just fill the room. When you start praying the rosary, everything changes. It's so true. I've told families who aren't even Catholic,
Sure.
when I pray the rosary next to your dad's bed, he can sleep.
Yeah.
And they look at me, but then I just keep telling them, if you just pray the rosary,
Yeah.
So I've just thanks to the Lord.
Amen. On the other side of the card, you said the Divine Mercy prayer, which is what?
Oh, it was one of the prayers on the back. It wasn't the entire rosary. It was one of the prayers for it. It might have been, "Oh, blood and water, which gush forth from the heart of Jesus is a fountain of mercy for us. I trust in you." That was it.
Yeah.
And then they had like a little link from whoever made the prayer cards, but I gave him the prayer card because I knew that it wasn't mine to keep.
I just find it interesting too that, it's not like you found it on the floor. It was taped to the wall.
And it had putty on it too, the very putty I had scraped off the walls. Like, when you hang up your kids' posters in their rooms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now explain that. Why would it have putty? What's the connection there? It was taped, so it didn't need the putty.
I don't know. I had just washed the wall with Mr. Clean, a magic eraser.
I guess just to drive home the point, this didn't just fall here,
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that was it. Like, you can't say it was like, oh, some tape left on the wall, you didn't see it, or because it was tape and putty holding that thing to the wall.
Well, either Jesus himself walked by or, as you say, sent an angel or whatever. Doesn't matter. It's all from God, right? It's all from God.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's so many messengers. Listen, I'm probably going to have to go because I've got teenagers coming in the house.
No, you're not allowed to go yet. You're not allowed to go yet. Hold on here. Hold on.
Okay.
Big deal. They're teenagers. They know how to take care of themselves.
I know. I don't want them to mess up your recording.
Oh, I don't care about that. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Don't worry about that.
Okay.
So Amy contacts me, and apparently now you're spreading the word, right? So now you're telling what? Everybody you meet? How are you spreading this?
I had to tell my two friends who were we get so excited about Holy Week. And I told my family who, who love Jesus, and we went to church on Palm Sunday. But I was just texting them like, can you believe this? Look what God did for me today. Look what he reminded me of. And then Amy was like, do you know who Trapper Jack is? I said, no. And she said, you've got to tell him this story. And so she sent me the link because and I'm going to watch some of the videos now. I've never heard of your podcast. So I was like, I just have to do this. This is something that people need to be reminded of. So
what an incredible experience for you. All of this.
It was. this was a very special day, and I've been so busy with working constantly that I needed this first day of Holy Week to just be reminded of the love of God, the
Mm,
mercy of God. And I'm so glad I was off work today and this all happened.
nice. How
So,
beautiful. And I am so appreciative that you just reached out. We're always asking people to not sit on their stories, but to share them, because that's where faith comes to life. You
yes.
know, we're always reminded to pray, but let's find out what happens when we do.
Right.
Somebody shows up, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Jennifer, thank you so much. Messages on the wall, messages in the music that plays in our heads. Then there's voices. Are you providing voices in my head?
We are. Okay.
No music?
No music? Darn.
Man, I'm getting a man and a woman in my head. What is going on in my head? Two voices. Traci and Russ. All right, well, something's been on your mind, kids. So what's been on your mind?
And it had to do with a little angel pin.
And that had to do with their neighbor, Edna, lived next door. Older woman. She sold a house, moved away.
I talked with her over the years. For 10 years, we talked across the fence. We would visit. I would talk to her about religion, her upbringing in West Virginia, the jobs she had, how hard it was for her as a single mother, raising her daughter and her son. We just had all kinds of great conversations. Well, when the house went on the market, Grandma, the Edna, the lady that I talked to, had to move out of the basement. So she had to move in with her son. And she had been gone for like 2 weeks, and they were still trying to sell the house. And she popped in my head one day, and it's like, there's reasons that people pop in your head, okay? And then a couple days later, her daughter texts me and she says, "Hey, I need to talk to you. I have something really important to tell you." And I text her back. I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. We're here. Come on over." So she comes on over and she says, "Yeah." She goes, "I just wanted to let you know my mom died." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, I'm like, "I just talked to her like 2 weeks ago." And she goes, "Yeah." She goes, "We don't know what happened. We don't know what was wrong with her. She wasn't feeling good. Got her to the hospital and she didn't do very well and she passed away." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And she said, "I wanted to let you know because I know you and my mom talked a lot." And I'm like, "Okay, well, thank you for telling me that. I appreciate it." And we said a prayer. I mean, as soon as the daughter left, Russ and I, we said a Hail Mary, we said a Our Father, and then we did a decade of the Rosary for her. And I'm like, "Edna, I hope you went into the light. I hope you listened to everything I told you, and I hope you went into the light." And the next day, we went to Mark's. We went to Mark's to go grocery shopping. We come home, we're emptying, all the groceries out of the back of Russ's car. I'm in the kitchen, and I'm going through all the bags and emptying everything. And I get all the way to the bottom to the counter, and there's this angel pin underneath all the bags.
Not in the bag. Not in the bag.
Not in the bag. No.
Under the bag. On the counter.
Under the bags. And I asked Russ, I'm like, "Russ, where'd this angel pin come from?"
Well, it was in the back of the car, with all the bags of groceries, underneath all the bags of groceries in the back hatch. And, I just brought it in with everything.
It was new to you.
The thing was, though, it was on a, cardboard tag and everything, like brand spanking new almost. And it came from Kohl's. And we haven't been in Kohl's for
over a year,
probably a year. And we were only at Mark's, and my car is clean in the back end.
Wait, how do you know it came from Kohl's?
Because the tag said Kohl's on the back of the cardboard.
Okay.
Yeah. And the price is scratched out, so it was like it was a gift that someone was giving. But I'm like, but Mark's doesn't sell jewelry. I don't know if you ever shopped at Mark's, but they don't sell jewelry.
Not a big jewelry department.
No, not at all. And I was just like, "What do you mean you found it underneath the bags of groceries?" I'm like, "Was it there before we put the groceries in?" He's like, "No." He says, "I just did it like 10 minutes ago. There was nothing in the back of the car when we put the groceries in." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh," and I just like looked at Russ and I said, "I think this is from Edna." I said, "I think Edna's sending me a message that she made it to heaven." and that she heard our prayers. Sent me a message, but I didn't know what the message was. There's the message.
There you go. There you go.
And I wear that pin on my coat every day this past winter. I did reach out to the daughter, okay, because somebody wanted, actually Elizabeth said, hey, bring the story full circle and check with the daughter. So I kind of checked with the daughter, and I said, she says, oh yeah. She goes, that would be so like my mother. She goes, that would just be so like my mother.
That's nice.
And because I was telling her, hey, when it's your time and you get up there, you're not going to be in any pain. You're not going to be in any discomfort. You're going to see your parents again, all the people that you've missed and so forth. So her and I had a connection, as good as you could, with a grandmother next door.
I love it. However heaven works this, whether it's a God thing, an angel, your angel did it, her angel,
right.
And whatever.
It
I'm
was
sure
beautiful.
She found out about it along the way, or maybe, I don't know. We don't know. We are not going to know until we get to the other side, but there's no question there's a hand in there.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. It was a beautiful story. Yeah, beautiful story.
Okay.
Other instances that I prayed to St. Anthony. Oh my gosh, St. Anthony. Yeah, he's a trooper. Okay, so I have like the best St. Anthony story. Okay. About 11 o'clock when it's time to go to bed, I'm going to take my earrings out. And one of my earrings is missing. And these are my favorite earrings. I wear them all the time. And they're tanzanite. You can't get tanzanite anymore, or it's very expensive. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Russ, I said, I lost my earring. And I'm like, it could be at the church. It could be at Mark's. It could be anywhere in between, the car, the parking lot, the garage, whatever. I'm like, it's this little itty bitty tiny earring. And so I'm freaking out, and he's looking around. He finds the post to it on the floor in the living room. I said, okay, well, that's a good sign. That means the earring might be here. So I start, praying to St. Anthony right away. Put it somewhere. Put the earring somewhere where I can see it, because it's very tiny. So I'm praying to both St. Anthony and my guardian angel. And I told them it needs to be obvious. Okay. You can't just put it like on a carpet. It needs to be obvious that it's my earring. So after 24 to 48 hours of searching for this earring everywhere, and my dog, she's on the floor and she's like chewing on something. I'm like, Soli, what are you chewing on? What are you chewing on? I'm like, stop that, and I bent down, and out of her mouth drops my earring.
Wow.
And she was trying to get it caught in her lips. And when I, told her to drop it, whatever, it was my earring. I could not believe it. I was like screaming, like, thank you, angels. Thank you, St. Anthony.
Well, that's got to be valuable.
Yes. Valuable. And it
was obvious.
It was obvious. That's what I needed.
Yeah. You could see it. Dog slobbered tanzanite. Yeah.
God is so cool.
That's very cool. You're talking about St. Anthony. It was interesting because last fall I gave a 3-night mission in a little place called St. Anthony, Indiana. Fabulous place. Wonderful
yes,
people.
I remember that. I remember seeing that.
It was awesome. But a place called St. Anthony, I looked at him. I just said, you guys lose anything? I mean, really. I mean, when you take out the garbage, the next day, is it back? Geez, this must be horrible. All right. Talk to you guys later. Thank you so much.
Hey, take care. Have a great weekend. Take care, Trevor. Bye.
All right. Thank you, Traci and Russ. And since, we were talking about the wonderful place called St. Anthony, Indiana, next we'll close out these messages from heaven with the one who found us and brought us to St. Anthony, Indiana, and that would be Natalie. And Natalie has these messages from heaven that come from Grandma and a ski slope. Mm-hmm. All right, now we're going to go through this story. Okay, Natalie?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going through the story. When did, this about your grandmother?
Yeah, my grandma Ware, so Mom's mom, and she was in the hospital, passing away. She had 11 kids, and of the kids that were surviving, they were all there in the hospital, waiting for her to pass. And she passed at 4:30, and so when one of the kids that still lived at home got home later on that night, he saw that Grandma's grandfather clock had stopped at 4:30. The cuckoo clock had stopped at 4:30. The digital clock that's plugged in had stopped at 4:30. So 3 clocks had stopped at the time of her passing.
That's crazy.
I know. Like Grandma passed through the house and just zapped the clocks.
Wow.
Yeah.
What does that say to you? I mean, it's just, what does it say to you?
I think to me it says that I'm okay. you know, she had a long, happy life. She was a widow a long time, and she was going home. Yeah. Well, and one other part with the grandma thing.
Yeah.
That night, because I wanted her to pass. Like I said, she had a long, happy life.
Yeah.
And I told her, if you want to visit me in my sleep, no big deal. She did. She was at the foot of my bed, and she looked just like what she did in her wedding picture, because I'd always seen that on her dresser. And she just looked so peaceful, didn't say anything, just there for a second, and then gone. But it was very calming.
What was the thing you said you wanted to tell me about? Was it a snow thing or?
Yeah,
what was?
So I'm a good skier. I haven't fallen for years. Jeremy and I like to ski on like black diamonds, so they're very steep. And we were skiing just this past year, and I fell. We don't ski with poles, so I had no way to get...
Why don't you ski with poles?
I gave poles up 20 years ago.
Because?
Just bucking the system.
What is that called? What kind of skiing is that called? What is that?
I don't know.
You don't know? Is that got a name?
I'm just going to call it Nat and Jeremy skiing.
Okay. You're okay.
Rebel.
A rebel, okay.
So I fell. Jeremy was ahead of me. And like I said, the terrain's super steep. So he does notice like a cloud of snow. You know, when he turns around, like, where's she at? There's this cloud of snow. I'm sliding down the hill like a big old dead chicken. I'm on my back. My feet are up in the air. My skis should have came off. They were rentals. And they should kick off whenever you have an accident to prevent being injured. They didn't. So I flop over down the hill, and I'm fiddling around trying to get up. I look like a beached whale. So there's like this little thing that'll cock on the back of your ski to get your boot to pop out of there. And I'm pushing and I'm pushing and I'm pushing. I cannot get it off of there. Normally, if you'd have a pole, the pole would go in there and you'd be able to get yourself out.
Okay.
So this snowboarder girl stops. She's like, you okay? Because I look like I was kind of hurt. I was sitting there for so long. I'm like, no, I'm not hurt. I just can't get up. So she goes down the hill. Next thing I know, 2 guys ski up to me. And instead of stopping on top of the hill where they would have had leverage to pop that thing to get my boot off, they're below me. And they're like, are you hurt? I'm like, no, I just can't get up. They're like, well, pop your boot off. Like, I'm not strong enough. No sooner than I'm trying to show him, I take my hands to that little lever thing to pop my boot off. He takes his pole and wham, I'm out of there before I can even stop the sentence. Trust me, you fiddle around with this long enough, you're kind of dorky with it and you can't get it. And I look at him like, the angle where he was at below the hill, there's no way he could have basically reached up the hill, popped it off as quick as he did, one shot. And then he gets me settled around. I get my other ski on. I told him, God bless you. And I'm fiddling around with my mittens. And I was going to say one more thing. And of course, they're gone. And I look down the hill and they're not down the hill. And I'm like, that had to be an angel encounter.
Wow.
Was I in danger? No.
Yeah.
I was just trying to call my husband, like, just ski down the hill, meet me here, get me out of my skis, and let's keep on skiing. But the way it all happened, it was weird. I'm like, I know it was an angel encounter.
It was impossible, wasn't it? It was just one of those impossible. And then you're just gone. Then you just disappear.
Yeah, and so then you try to find him in the ski line, because I caught up with him.
Yeah.
I'm like, they weren't down there. It was weird.
I love it.
But I was like, thank you.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, always ask for the takeaway. So what's your takeaway?
I guess you should ski with poles. And your guardian angel's there to look out for you. I promise they are there. And I was thankful the rest of the trip because I knew it was like a divine intervention. Yeah.
Thanks, Natalie. And all the stories of when heaven leaves messages. And thank you, Kelly Cottom, for joining the Patreon family. Thanks, Kelly, for making this all go week to week. Touchedbyheaven.net. Click your way through to Patreon or go to patreon.com. Anything else I can say? Maybe just ask your recommendation on the best place possible to listen to the Touched by Heaven podcast. Yeah, Russ.
In the back of the car, with all the bags of groceries, underneath all the bags of groceries.
Not in the bag. Not in the bag.
Not in the bag. No.
Under the bag.